tissue for maritime operations, moving people, fuel, and equipment across these vast domains and distances, and being able to support the combatant commanders. In a fight defined by distance, the logistics really is combat power, and the KC-130J delivers on that. It brings critical refueling capabilities. We're seeing that right now in theater, right at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. That's refueling the air wing. It's the first time that the Navy Reserve has refueled aircraft in a combat zone, and helped evacuate nearly 3,000 family members and personnel. So it's a real-world example of that speed, the capability, and the capacity under pressure. But it also highlights the real challenge that we've got right now. That KC-130 fleet, the Tangos right now that we're flying, they're aging, they're 35 years old. The reliability, the survivability, and really the long-term sustainment are problems, and they're real, and they're growing concerns. So that's exactly why we need to recapitalize and replace those right now with a more survivable platform. I'll tell you what stood out to me during my time in West Virginia was this made it real. I mean, we met somebody that was working on that assembly line, second generation of his family to work on those aircraft. And he said something that really has stuck with me, is that every single American C-130 that's flying right now has been touched by West Virginians. And what we really felt was that expertise, that pride, and the precision that's built into every single tail that we rely on. So, I mean, for us, bottom line, in that KC-130, it's closing that credibility gap and that capability gap that we need right now. And so the support from you and the rest of the committee is critically important as we think about replacing those tails.
Thank you. Thank you for recounting that story, because if you hadn't, I was going to remind you of that. Thank you. So, General Nordhaus, thank you for your visit and our exchange in my office just recently. There's been a lot of talk about drone warfare, and there's the Admiral talked a little bit about, well, all of you did, about the innovation that comes from the warfighter, the ones that are in the theater. And there's a lot of soldier-inspired innovation that goes on that they bring from their own maybe jobs that they have outside of the reserves. And I would say the Ridge Runner Irregular Warfare Exercise Laboratory, which is hosted by our West Virginia National Guard, provides some of that. General, how is the National Guard harnessing that innovation from citizen soldiers to address the new age of warfare? Could you give us a couple examples?
Senator Capito, thank you also for highlighting our soldier and airmen. As we look at Ridge Runner, I'll be there tomorrow, so I'm excited to see that. As we look at innovation, our guardsmen work out in industry, and they bring all that innovation technology. On the cyber side, they bring those skill sets. As we look at taking innovation out at the Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Test Center, they take innovation and are taking the INGREA dollars that we get and are getting 80% of the capabilities at 20% of the cost, because they're innovating those tools and systems in as we go across. I do appreciate the discussion on the UASs, and one of the things that we continue to do is innovate with how we can protect and defend our bases. And on the National Guard, Air National Guard and Army National Guard side, we're often operating in a Title 32 status, which doesn't have the same protection and benefits as Title 10. So we look forward to working with Congress on those authorities, so that when we're operating for counter UAS within our defenses, also that we have the right authorities.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Okay, Senator Shaheen, followed by Moran, Bozeman, and Murkowski.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each of you for the great job you do representing our National Guard, which are the men and women of the Guard are critical, not just to the national security of this country, but to our individual states, and all of us appreciate that, so thank you. And let me start by agreeing with Senators McConnell and Coons and their comments about Ukraine. I hope we are doing everything possible to learn from what is happening in the war in Ukraine and how it's affecting the future of war. I also, General Nordhaus, appreciated your comments about dental care. I don't know why the policies of the government and sadly my home state of New Hampshire have failed to recognize that the mouth is part of our health care and it should be treated as such. General Nordhaus, thank you for visiting New Hampshire. It's the home of the 157th Air Refueling Wing, and as I'm sure you were told often when you were there, it's the only KC-46 wing in the country to reach initial operating capacity. And you won't be surprised to learn that I am concerned about the logistic composite model study at Pease. And ultimately, I understand that that study has revealed that the wing needs more maintenance billets than are currently there permanently. I understand that General Pirac had a very good meeting with our TAG, and he talked about the importance of maintaining the temporary billets until they can become permanent. But can I get your commitment that the 157th is going to receive those maintenance billet supports that they need as determined by General Pirac and the LCOM study?
Senator Shaheen, first off, thank you for the visit. Last year, I planned on visiting and flying the KC-46 just prior to Epic Fury, but that's delayed it, but I'll be up there to fly the KC-46. I have spoken with General Michelatis and General Pirac over the last day to make sure that this is going in the right direction. I know that the LCOM study added 10 positions, so we will make sure those go in. We're also added the 29 temporary AGRs to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. But we're also continuing that work with the Air Force and KC-46s as a whole, as that platform is so capable and credible going forward. We do also appreciate that what's authorized on the AGRs, because that full-time resource is so critical that it's also appropriated as well, so that we can have those AGRs, so that we can push not only at the 157th, but across the National Guard, both Army and Air. AGR and our full-time resources are critical because they build the readiness for our guardsmen to come in on not only the weekends, but when they come in on their drill status, to be always ready and always there.
Well, thank you, and thank you for helping to make that argument, which the subcommittee will have to take up when we get to that point in the appropriations process. I also want to ask you about the remote vision system that we know has been an ongoing problem with the KC-46. What we're hearing is that Boeing hopes to integrate the revised RVS 2.0 system into the new builds beginning in 2027, but they don't have a timeline for retrofitting KC-46s that are already in service. So can you talk about your understanding with respect to that, and do you expect to advocate for that? And perhaps General Healy might want to weigh in on that as well.
Senator, so I've flown the F-16 for 23 years and the F-35 for a little bit of time, and air refueling is the most critical thing. And you're seeing it play out in Epic Fury, where the National Guard has a very large percentage